Good morning, fellow investors. My name is Peter Mészáros, and my guests today are Tom Larsen and Chris Holden from Eloro Resources. Thank you for being here and that you agreed to provide us with a comprehensive introduction.
Thanks for being here today. I am Chris Holden. I am the SVP of Corporate Development, and Tom Larsen, who is also here, is the CEO and Chairman of Eloro Resources. So
nice to have us. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's great to be here today. So I guess the easiest way for me to kind of do this is just kind of share, our corporate deck and where that we're going. It's a good package, and it'll explain hopefully everybody's questions, but please, if you have any, just let us know. This is the Iska Iska deposit as it stands currently in the Department of Potosí in Bolivia. You can see the substantial size of it. We've done a tremendous amount of work on it. We're up over 140,000 meters of drilling. It's a never been drilled property that we took on in late 2020, started drilling in 2021. We came out with our initial resource in September, but it actually was posted in October of 2023. It is a significant deposit of size, 1.15 billion ounces of silver equivalent, almost 300 million ounces of silver, ranks extremely high on the undeveloped properties on a global basis. I'll show you in a couple of slides. There's a significant amount of tin and lead, and there's indium that we don't talk that much about, but that's also a significant critical mineral that's required in every basically cell phone in the world. So what I'd like to really highlight, though, is we had a really nice higher grade near surface of 132 million tons, 24 grams silver. We think we can get that number up, and I'll show you that as well. On our drilling that we've had a very good success with on our infill drilling, that's 35 to 40 grams silver. We're looking at bringing the drills back into the ground and started drilling again in March. And so when we're looking at catalysts coming up for the year, we're going to have an updated resource. As I said, the last one would have been, of 2023. So it's getting a little stale. We'd certainly like to show people what we've accomplished over the last couple of years. We're going to do a PEA. That's going to be, we initially thought it's Q2. That might bump into early Q3, but we want to make sure that we get it right. And then, like I said, we're going to be continuing to drill throughout the year because we have lots of areas on the property that we haven't drilled yet. When I talked about the undeveloped silver properties, this is from Mining Visuals. These are the top undeveloped silver properties on the globe that haven't been developed. And you can see even that higher grade portion, that 132 million tons, that's at 24 grams silver. So if we think we can expand that, that larger portion up from 132 million tons to 150, 160, the number can grow because, a lot of that work is still to be done in terms of drilling. If we can get that number up, we start to move up on that higher grade portion of the deposit. Leverage to silver, we stand there on the left. You can see that New Pacific is there as well. Bolivia is still undervalued in terms of silver resources on a global basis. We really stand out there. We're trading at, on a given day, between 25 cents or 28 cents an ounce of silver in the ground. So, in terms of the run up we've had, we're still undervalued relative to silver, and, there's still lots of upside. Capital structure, insiders own 17%. Tom, who's on the presentation with us, is his largest significant shareholder. His key focus, and mine as well, is driving shareholder value. We have a lot of money invested personally in it, so that's our driving factor. Institution, we have a good institutional representation, 28%. Crescat is our largest shareholder out of Denver, Colorado. They were the initial funder of our exploration program in Bolivia, and so they've continued to be strong shareholders and own around 15% of the shares outstanding. You can see from the chart, we've done extremely well with the price in silver going ballistic, but I think we still think we have lots of opportunity when it comes to the timeline this year and what we can do from a activity perspective. We have good analyst coverage. 4 people cover us. Continuing to look for new coverage and getting the story out there that this is a great undeveloped story. Tom, who is the chairman and CEO here, was the head of Champion Minerals and sold that to Champion Iron and went through that whole process. So he knows how to cash in on the opportunities from a development story going forward. Bringing along with him is Miles and George, who've been working with him for 40 years, I think, Tom. So
yeah,
it's
1996.
Yeah. So the team has been around for a long time. I mean, I'm one of the new guys in, but I've known Tom for 25 plus years. So it's a well-developed team. One of the key people in the story is Oswaldo Arce, who's now the sole head of the EP of Latin operations. Bill is retiring at the end of March and will sit on as a technical advisor. But Oswaldo is really the one that brought the property to us in 2020. The property's never been drilled. The landowner, we've had a great relationship, brought the property to Oswaldo because he didn't understand the geologics behind it. And Oswaldo clearly understood what it was because he's written basically 2 books on geology within Bolivia. And so when he saw the opportunity, and with our working relationship with Oswaldo in the past, it was just a nice opportunity for us to collaborate to drive this substantial project forward. We also have on board Mike Hollywell, who's helped out extensively on the tin mineralogy. There's very few tin mineralogy people in terms of processing and metallurgy on a global basis. Mike is one of them. He also works with South Crofty in their Cornish metals. So we built out a very extensive technical team, including that of one of our technical advisors, Quentin Hennig, who helped bring Crescat originally into Eloro as the lead investor starting off, but he also leveraged that opportunity to take over San Cristobal from Sumitomo Mining, and so now he's a quasi-competitor / technical advisor in the country. It's an interesting combination, and we think that Bolivia is completely underexplored, and I'll show you why. Bolivia, from the background politically, has had a challenging 20 to 25 years when it turned very socialist, and that sort of started to fall apart in 2021 when we entered the country, when economically things really got challenged. You can see that they've chosen a much better path with the recent elections, electing Paz as the president of the country. They're really forging a new relationship with not only its South American partners, whether that's Peru or Chile or Argentina, but more importantly with the U.S. and trying to bring economic development into the country. They've already signed significant deal, bringing in international funds of $4.5 billion. The State Department is very active in the country trying to change mining regulations to help improve international trade and mining ventures in the country. So we can see a substantial change, not only in the organization, for us seeing the acceptance of mining opportunities in the country over the last 4 to 6 ever since he's been elected, which has been 3-4 months. So we are seeing that dynamic change. It's certainly more welcoming. We never really had any problems prior to this. It's just been much more open now, and we're really excited about what the opportunities can be. The changing in potential in mining legislation, the going back to international arbitration, potential of U.S. coming in and funding some critical mineral projects. It's all there on the table for us. We expect that to happen over the next few months. Our Bolivian infrastructure, this is a substantial deposit. One of the things that Tom always talks about is the importance of infrastructure. If you look at around our property within the 30 to 40 kilometer radius, we have access to rail, we have access to paved roads, access to high voltage power. There's water available on site. We've already chosen some tailings facilities, and it's all on our property. The infrastructure spend, we're just starting the process of our PEA. We've kind of initially scoped it out on a pretty comfortable level between 150 to 200 million US. So it's not one of these properties where you're in the middle of nowhere, a $2 billion infrastructure again. That's not our case. And so we're extremely happy where we are. This is a mining friendly community, and the opportunity to use local workforce is this is one of the things that I talk about when we're talking to the tin association and people that are interested in tin. There is a key dynamic of proximity when it comes to tin. When you look at what's happening in the Australian market, all of those developments are going to China. 95% of what's being developed in Africa is going to China. And all of the stuff that's being developed in Europe, most of that is fairly smallish, that's all going to Europe. We are the only large-scale tin, and for that matter, polymetallic deposit being developed in South America at the moment. So when you're looking for, if you're the U.S. market, hypothetically, you're building a zinc smelter in Tennessee that's looking for 300,000 tons per annum of zinc. There's only one development that's being developed in the Americas. That goes with tin as well. So the proximity to the U.S. market is not lost on the State Department and on the Department for everybody that's looking for critical minerals. So we're certainly making that known. And one of the things that I think makes us in that better position is we have a really good, strong position in our locally and with the communities around us. Doesn't matter whether you're developing in BC, Nevada, Bolivia, if you don't have local support, you can't get a mine built. So we've got local support. We've signed up all the communities around us. We've worked extensively with them ever since we've been on the property. We have dedicated resources. We have Anna Moran, head of our social programs down there. She works extensively not only by herself with Westwaldo and with the landowner who's well known in the community. So that we're there to make everybody, from an economic and social platform to help everybody in the region, because it is an economically challenged region, and we're doing everything above board to help drive that. I won't speak a lot about the agreement. We've signed it. It was completed in early February, so now the property is basically taken over from the landowner. It was $10 million US total price, fully permitted. We've had no issues ever working on the property. Edwin has been great. He's helped actually build some of the roads and done a couple of the adits where we're done exploring, and so it's been a great relationship. This is the view of the complex. You can see there we've done a lot of work in terms of roads, the adits. Walrakasa was the initial portal where we did the drilling, or actually, even though it was never been drilled properly, our first actual drill result came from underground. So we also like to highlight that there's no artisanal mining, there's no historical significance around it. ESP-wise, it's very clean. Where we are in Bolivia, there's no issues in terms of rug-related issues or lately gang anything related that we get in Mexico. We are completely clear of any of those issues. Property geology, I won't spend a ton on this. Essentially what we'd like to highlight here is the significance. Our initial MRE, black dotted line, what the team has been working on since the initial MRE is that red area, which was the initial high-grade area, 132 million tons. And what we've been doing from that standpoint is doing infill and doing step-outs to increase that grade and drive things higher. There's areas within this deposit still have not been drilled, whether that's the Domo San Juan or the Porco, or even to the areas to the southwest where we think that's higher zinc region. You know, those areas still have to be drilled. We still need to do a lot of tin drilling to get that, you know, to prove up more resources there as well. So there's lots of opportunity to take that higher grade portion higher and to drive everything else. This is deposit as we see it. There's the epithermal, which is the polymetallic portion of the deposit, and the PID, the tertiary increase. So you can think of that as the tin portion. It really is two deposits within one. The epithermal is likely where we're going to start off our initial production from the larger project, simply because geologically and geographically it's the easiest to start from. And so that's where the majority of our drilling is going. That doesn't mean that the opportunity to accelerate the tin deposit, you know, we initially thought that this tin might come in year 4 or 5. It could come in sooner if we look at different mining scenarios, and so that's something that we're going over with PEA. I'll kind of skip through that one, and I'll talk about the definition drilling. And this is why we get so comfortable on where we can see that 132 growing and that 24 gram per silver growing as well. And so this was, the flat line is our initial MRE, and this is the infill drilling that we've done since that standpoint. One of the things I kind of like to, you can see how DSB 93 is up there. That's almost 210 silver equivalent. You know, we're talking movements here of 50 to 100. You know, those, you know, when you get 100, that's over 3 ounces silver recovered after recovery that we're getting in some of the drill results. So you know that the numbers are going to be better than the initial resource and higher than what our higher grade portion is. And what gives us some comfort in this, and what we're going to do in the next, you know, this year as well, is look to do more bulk samples, because we initially sent a bulk sample to Wardell in England in January of 2024, 6.3 tons, so it wasn't a small one. It was it was based off of twin drill holes that had 35 gram silver in each, you know, average 35 in each one. Silver came back at 91. And so there's a clear underreporting in this deposit of our silver. The silver is, lack of technical terms here, it's fluid through both the TID and the polymetallic portion of the deposit. So even if we're producing tin in that tertiary, we're still going to get silver in that 25 to 30 gram silver equivalent. So that's really interesting from that point. But when we're getting the bulk samples like this, and there's a clear upper reporting, one of our goals this year is not only to drill, you know, 20 to 30,000 additional meters, but also to look at doing a couple of bulk samples to get a true better representation the mineralogy, the metallurgy, and actually the grades that we can get out of this. DSD 87 was our largest and longest tin intersection. You know, this is a significant milestone for anybody that's interested in tin. You know, 213 meters of 0.5% tin. And even on that tin, as I mentioned, you know, you're still getting 25 grams silver out of it. If this was a tin-only mine, that 25 grams silver would be enough to pay for the operating costs. For free. So, you know, we're still targeting that area. We still think there's opportunity. The original MRE was 130,000 tons of tin. That grade was fairly low. We think we can get that tin grade, you know, to 0.3, 0.4, but obviously the tonnage is going to decrease. You know, if we can get anywhere between 40 to 50,000 tons, that's a significant tin deposit on the global scale. So that's one of our goals for 2026 as well. 92 and 91, one of the things I really like to point out, I'll let you look at this at your leisure because this is on your website as well. It's the 91 hole with 65 meters and 37 grams silver, but it was only at the 19.5 meter mark. When we initially came in, and as Waldo thought, basically the oxide cap that sits atop of this that's been, you know, there's no mineralization. It's all been leached out over a period of time. We actually thought that the overburden would be 50 to 100 meters, and it would be a couple of years to basically strip this off. 19.5 meters, it's nothing. So when we get into the PEA and we look at a production scenario, and you know whether we're producing this or somebody else wants to take it, it's a clear window where, okay, well, we're going to buy this now, and rather than having to strip for 2 years before you start to get cash flows, the strip is only minimal, you know, 1 to 2 months, and then you're starting cash flows. That's and when we talk about it from the permitting standpoint, too, if I dip back to where we talked about the Bolivian government, there's a big push to get acceleration of permitting processes as well. This isn't going to be like BC where it takes 10 plus years to get your environmental permit. You know, Oswaldo is of the firm belief that once our PEA is done, which will be second or third quarter this year, we can apply for environmental permit. Originally, we thought this would be a 14 to 16 month period, but Oswaldo is of the belief that that period could be substantially reduced because the Bolivian government wants to show not only politically but both socially that they can bring international money, get a mine developed, and start generating tax revenue, because mining is the largest tax generator of revenues in the country. San Cristobal is the largest mine in the country and it's the largest tax contributor. They would love to have another San Cristobal in the country. I'll just get into 90, which is the big significant one. I think it was Tom.
Yeah. Let's take a look here.
I can't remember. No, I'm sorry. It was 93. So
93.
this was, yeah. So this was the big hole that was the biggest one. You know, 72 meters. You know, not 294 grams silver, beginning at the 131 mark. We initially thought that the polymetallic was just kind of sitting on top of the tin deposit, and that there wouldn't be a significant polymetallic. It's a significant polymetallic mine, but we didn't think it would extend as much as it has in depth. And so it is a significant drilling result for us, not only from size and grade, but it also gives us that opportunity to look at saying, you know, if this is the case, we need to do more drilling at depth. And that's one of the things we thought we're going to do this year is we'll do a ramp, go down to 1,000-meter mark. That'll give us the opportunity to do some bulk sampling. It'll give us some drill bays at depth to not only drill this polymetallic at depth, because we haven't really done much beyond that 400 to 500 meter mark, and it's still open at depth in many cases. And that's going to be the same on the tin side as well. So when we look at this, when you talk at the top of the mountain to the valley floor, it's, 1.5 kilometers, we're drilling 500-meter length cores. We still don't know what's beyond, down under that 500-meter mark. So there's plenty of opportunity for expansion, not only on the tin and silver side, the PIB side, polymetallic side as well. So when we come to what's the opportunity and where we see we're a extremely undervalued stock, we have a changing government in Bolivia that's becoming much more U.S. focused friendly. They're searching for critical minerals. They have a belief that South America is their best opportunity. And one of the best opportunities within South America is Bolivia. We're going to have a PEA out. One of the things that we're excited to show people is that because there's so few competitors that are in Bolivia, that they don't get a true understanding of what the economics of a deposit like this is. We're excited to show people that. We're going to have a resource update, coming out here over the next month or two, that's going to show all the hard effort that's gone in from drilling, an additional 50,000 meters from our initial resource to this one, and we've had success. As Tom had said, we've never had a drill result to date that's shown mineralization. Some of it might not be portions of those drill cores that may not be economic, but there's a massive continuity to this deposit that makes for a great underground, an open pit type deposit, where you don't have to worry about areas where there's no mineralization. It's mineralized throughout. So that's what you need for an open pit scenario. We've already got the property acquired, and that's kind of our story. We've got lots of catalysts coming up this year, and not all of them are going to come from some people. Some of them are going to come from the Bolivian environment as well. So it's a great time to be a shareholder of Eloro.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. It was a lot to take in. Thank you very much. So you mentioned the skin in the game, the size of the price, the catalyst. So it is very comprehensive. And before I forget, I am also a shareholder, because I also think it is an outstanding deposit. It needs some development, but I like to invest in this process through which it is gaining value. So here we have a very good chance. So thank you very much. It is excellent. You mentioned that the first resource will be updated, the resource estimate, in the next few months. Is it not too early?
Chris, let me answer that.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's a very interesting point, because because of the size of this system, and again, as Chris mentioned, this property that we became involved with, Iska Iska, in 2020, had never been drilled. There were no modern mining or exploration techniques involved. It was during COVID, and we started from scratch. And what was outlined was this massive mineralized envelope that's still open in certain directions to the south, southwest, southeast as you go deeper. So, the MRE that we did come up with, I think in hindsight, we could have waited in the fact that, the size of this thing, it showed close to 1.15 billion ounces of silver equivalent, 590 million tons. But the grade of silver, because it was so, diluted, you're dealing with 100-meter spacings as you're fanning out, going deeper, you're getting a grade of 12, 13, 14 grams silver, which isn't truly reflective of some of the higher grade zones that we have since outlined with not a lot of drilling, only about 20,000 meters in the last year and a half, 2 years. We plan on really stepping that game up, and we're in the midst of finalizing a drilling contract, which we'll get into with a press release at some point here shortly. But we really want to go after some of these higher grade sections higher up in that envelope, in that system, to show the market that the grades are a lot higher, probably, 30, 40, 50 gram average type material in this environment. So we will do, because we've telegraphed to the market over the last couple of years that, we want to enhance and really show the market that there is higher grade accessible silver, especially grades. We will enhance the MRE based on that, but don't look for, a 600 million ton, 50 gram silver average. That's not the focus. Has been the upper part for a PEA for a 12 to 15 year mine life, starting off with lots of blue sky as you go deeper into the system, and upgrading the silver content within that. So the MRE, we will come out with an MRE, and it'll get upgraded as we, if we do 20, 30, 40,000 more meters of drilling in the next year, 14 months, that MRE, which is the locomotive of the PEA or of the PFS, I mean, that's the all-important thing here, it will get upgraded. So even with a PEA coming out, that'll get upgraded, because this, we're only probably in the third, fourth inning, if that, on the resource itself. We've done tremendous amount of work in the last 2 years in regard to the metallurgical, because of the complexity of a polymetallic, and with the added benefit that we have, but still needing a lot of work, metallurgical work with tin. And that's why, as Chris mentioned, that's why we brought in Mike Hollywell, who has a lot of expertise in tin metallurgy, for instance. So yeah, this is a complex, it's a big system. We're a company of, $200-300 million share cap at this stage. I mean, this could be a 40-50 year mine life at, 30,000-40,000 tons a day, based on, more infill, more drilling, more step outs over the coming, couple of years. So yeah, we're trying to go step by step with this. I mean, that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, it's a process, right? So it doesn't, just because we're going to update another resource and get that out, doesn't mean that we can't do another global resource after the 30,000 meters of drilling, right? So we've had a lot of challenges when it comes to the initial resource, because people look at that low grade, and that's what they focus on. They always say it's too low grade.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why we need to get that resource out. Is as I mentioned, there's 132 million tons there at 24 gram silver, which is still underrepresented from a silver standpoint. And so if we, even getting that number up to, like Tom had mentioned, 40 or 50 gram silver, puts us in the top 5 undeveloped silver stories on a global basis.
Yeah.
So, we have to, it's not about necessarily the tonnage at this point, it's about improving on the grade, in which is going to be, why the infill drilling has been so important. Step out, because it's increasing that larger grade portion, which is great.
Yeah.
So that's the most important.
Okay, thank you very much. So that is a good answer. And I think Tom mentioned the capacity of the mine, but I just cannot remember. Could you please repeat what is the, based on current knowledge, what you envision today?
That'll be in the PEA.
Yes.
Which will, we're aiming for, the end of second quarter 2026, early into third quarter 2026. And, we're still not quite there with the optimization throughput daily of what we're going after. But it'll, it could start out at 10, going to 20,000, going to 30,000 tons a day over a period of time.
Okay,
so that's what you'll see. And that's why we're putting lots of emphasis on the infill upper area drilling, to enhance the silver, into that, 35, 45 gram minimal range. And that, and that's, if you just take a look at, we've been very fortunate in having signed an NDA with San Cristobal Mining. We know their operating inputs. They're a private company. As Chris mentioned, Dr. Quinton Hennig is the president of San Cristobal Mining. He was introduced into Bolivia through us in 2020 and became a big shareholder through Crescat. So he's been watching the development of Bolivia and became very interested in San Cristobal. So their average, they're a 50,000 ton a day mine, formerly owned by Sumitomo. But their grades, they have no tin. They're not on the tin belt. They're west of us, about 180K. But they're averaging, anywhere from 35 to 45 grams silver. And they've been going since 2006. So that gives you an idea of sort of, we do have some sort of comparative that we're, looking at and going through and working towards. But we do have that tin benefit, and that's going to be very interesting, whether that becomes its own open pit, isolated operation. And that's starting to look, with more infill drilling, we're going to come up with, more coarser grain cassiterite type tin that we also discovered in the western side of this open pit area, west of Santa Barbara, just in the last year and a half. That's very significant for us. We know we can really build on the tin as well as maybe it's a separate commercial project.
Yeah, thank you. I know you may not say everything because it is for the PA, and I just wanted to have a rough estimate to make a simple net asset value calculation based on cash flow, future cash flow. But now I have it. Thank you. You would like to start them with this higher concentration, high grade deposit part, right?
Yeah. Well, Chris mentioned, I think.
It's the simplest to go after.
It
really, and that's there's more. I mean, it's funny when you talk about, tin being, averaging $50,000 a ton, and saying it's less economic than the silver portion, even with that, because the silver grades are a little bit higher in the polymetallic. But I mean, when I was initially running the model, when we started doing, what if scenarios, we started at $22 silver. And so when Tom says we signed an NDA with San Cristobal, and it's the same grade, and we kind of know what their processing costs are, we throw that into our model, and we throw $75 silver into that. You're essentially gobsmacked at the amount of money that this.
Yeah.
Everybody hates polymetallic mines until they actually have one, because they make so much money. So that's where our opportunity is. So that's the focus initially will be on the development, and this could all change too, within the polymetallic portion of it, because that's where the best drilling is. That's where we have the best understanding of drain control and what the opportunity could be. But I don't know if we go and drill some more big tin holes, and that's we have lots of opportunity in this deposit because of essentially the deposit. It's a mountain. So technically, if we really found some stuff at depth on the tin side, there's no reason why you couldn't do a small underground operation, or as Tom said, 2 separate, starter pits. So there's a lot of flexibility in the model here that I don't think a lot of other companies have on a global scale to do multiple operations and multiple mining techniques.
Yeah, and we should not be surprised if you find something in depth because it's a porphyry deposit, right? So,
Yep.
Right.
yeah, okay. And I will not hold you to it because things are moving slower than we imagined, but
it's a good problem to have.
Yes, yes, exactly.
It's not like we're a one-trick pony. We've got multiple. I mean, it makes things more interesting in our corporate discussions and stuff like that because there's lots of opportunities that, like I mentioned, lots of other people don't have.
And can I imagine? Is that a scenario when you will get your environmental permit in the middle of next year, so 2027, and then after that 18-20 months of construction? So is this roughly a good estimate? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think once and that's the other benefit of getting an initial PEA out, we can actually go after the environmental permit for that larger scale process. In the interim, we are working on an environmental permit, even for smaller scale, just to have it, which we can do. So that is ongoing, and we've really beefed up sort of the management team in Bolivia. Hired a couple of very well sought after engineers, and a VP of project finance at the Bolivian level that report to myself and to Chris, and up and obviously Dr. Osvaldo Arce overseeing that. So I mean, we are starting to, in a real world, I would love to have a player come in and just buy the whole thing out, but you can't think like that. I think that'll happen eventually, but we have to move step by step and show that we can develop this thing and move it forward, even if it starts up small scale, moving up, and that's what we're doing. So we're pretty pleased with the group of technical people behind, not just geological, but also from an engineering standpoint. So yeah, it's beefing up. Yeah, as we speak.
Interestingly enough, on the timing standpoint, I'll throw a little sizzle on here. Korea Zinc is building a new lead zinc complex in Tennessee that starts up in 2029. And they will be looking for 300,000 tons of concentrate per year. So our timing could work out exceptionally well. And that doesn't mean that we need to, go down that route and look with them, but it's pulling in 300,000 tons product that needs to come from areas that would normally go to China or Korea. Yeah. It's going to come to the U.S. So they'll be looking for that within South America or Yukon, but it's not going to come.
USA is open to find more minerals.
They are extremely open. So as part of my role is looking for, government finance and stuff like this. Like we went down the road with the UN like 2 years ago, didn't get that far, reaching out to the US State Department and Canadian departments and all that stuff. A year and a half ago, 2 years ago, they were pleasant conversations that lasted about a minute. Nobody had an interest in Bolivia. And I can tell you right now, and Tom can probably tell you more than I can, it's that the level of interest in opportunities in Bolivia is through the roof. the dynamic has completely changed.
Yes.
We're getting people that are coming in and saying, we can help you get funding in Bolivia from State Department, whoever, etc. So it has definitely changed. If you ever get the chance to talk to our lawyer in Bolivia, Pablo Ordonez, they bulked up their law firm. They did an acquisition of the second largest law firm in Bolivia because they're extremely excited about what the opportunity could be in Bolivia in the next couple of years.
That's good to hear. Unfortunately, our time is limited. Maybe I would like to ask one or two more questions.
I have to leave.
Yeah, you have to leave? Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I have to leave too at 5.
Okay, okay. How much money do you have, and for how long is it enough to cover your plans?
So we have roughly 9 million Canadian dollars in the treasury after paying the remaining payment for the control and 99% ownership of the property. So that was a 1.6 million US payment just recently, along with another 1.8 million US we have in trust because we want to acquire another property adjacent, but to the southern part of Iska Iska called Mina Cassitarita. So yeah, we're at about 9 million, no debt. We have warrants that are coming in, which I think is sort of a good thing. Otherwise, I think with the silver market, the way it's been so volatile, our stock might have moved up even higher. So we could have seen it really come down a bit. So the warrants have kept it sort of conservatively priced. We've got another $4 or $5 million of warrant money coming in mid-March. There's over a 2.5 million share short position. I'd say 90% of that is the warrants. So we're financed from the standpoint of moving forward on the next short-term phase being and I don't want to get ahead of myself. You'll see that shortly, but it'll be in regard to the drilling campaign that we want to resume very quickly, sometime later March. You'll see it. I'm expecting, and also you'll see the startup of a ramping initiative that we've completed scoping on. So yeah, I mean, there's 110 million shares outstanding. We're financed if we wanted to, if we want to really keep things going, until the summer at least. But we'll see. There's a lot of opportunities going on right now, and not but we're in good shape right now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, I have to close this meeting, but thank you very much for taking the time to meet with us and answer my questions. I really appreciate it, and also my followers for sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.